welcome to the show today. It's the Wake Up. We have so much to talk about today. Let's get right into it. Yeah, I don't want to even waste any time today because we have so much to talk about, and we have a little bit of a shorter show today and a special announcement coming for you at the end, so stay tuned for that. President Donald Trump threatens further tariffs right now. He just recently has threatened further tariffs on China. Having concluded that his tariff threat worked against Mexico, President Trump has vowed to impose more tariffs against China if he doesn't accept American trade demands. The president said on Monday, that he would place 25% tariffs on an additional $300 billion worth of Chinese goods if a planned meeting with President Xi Jinping did not happen this month during a Group of 20 summit. So, economists and business leaders have rejected Trump's assertion that the current tariffs are doing no harm to the American economy and say the trade war is slowing global growth. Mexico's foreign minister said on Monday that the no-secret immigration deal existed between his country and the U.S., but that policies might be changed. Trump had signed a fully signed said that a fully signed and documented agreement would soon be revealed. So it's very interesting that we have two kind of tariffs, and one tariff situation convincing Trump that the other tariff situation is going to be good and more tariffs would be necessary, even though really, again, tariffs obviously are not popular with the Chinese, not popular with the Republican Party, not popular really with anybody. And I mean, it's getting, again, if he's able to get China to work out, I think it would definitely be a very, very good thing. But I don't know if really more tariffs is the answer. I think it's you really got to get some negotiation here at some point. But another very interesting thing is how he's kind of taking this off from Mexico, which is really kind of confusing at this point. We don't know what's happening. We don't know how much of a deal was made, and if it really wasn't that much of a deal. Despite continuing trade tensions, estimates for company earnings barely budged, which is interesting. Analysts have found it hard to quantify the cost of various on-again and off-again trade conflicts or threats of future measures. So no one's really sure, again, how this is going to totally and completely play out. But, again, instability, always a very, very dangerous thing. So this is definitely something to keep an eye on. The Justice Department has shared their Mueller documents, as the department on Monday began providing Congress with what the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee called interview notes, first-hand accounts of misconduct, and other critical evidence collected by special counsel Robert Mueller. The precise scope or usefulness of the material was unclear, but Democrats could believe it could shed light on possible obstruction and abuse of power by President Trump. A vote is planned today on a measure that would empower the Judiciary Committee to take Attorney General William Barr and other subpoena-defying witnesses to court, but the panel's deal with the Justice Department appear to lower tensions a little bit, so they kind of know they're serious, and there's only so much really stonewalling, a literally blatant law-breaking that they can do before things kind of come to a head here. But the panel's, with the deal with the panel's, the panel's deal with the Justice Department did seem to have helped a little bit. That's definitely very interesting stuff to somebody to keep an eye on, because it's kind of been a growing theme. Like the pot of tensions over there, we kind of kept it on the back burner. It's been steadily boiling, really, but it's now kind of looked like someone's turned down the heat on that stove a little bit, to continue my analogy here, because there does not seem to be too much happening on this front in terms of anything that would push the boiling water over the edge in the Justice Department versus Judiciary Committee fight. Shout out to Elizabeth Warren. She has some pretty big plans, folks. Senator from Massachusetts issued the largest number of detailed policy plans among the major Democratic presidential candidates, roughly 20 in all, on subjects as varied as big tech regulation, housing costs, and Pentagon contracting. Taken together, they could significantly remake the U.S. economy. Critics say her plans, many of which call for new regulations, would hurt business, stifle innovation, and potentially harm the workers they are intended to help. Minnesota is the only state with a legislature that isn't controlled by one party, which is interesting. With most legislative sessions over for the year, the laws show increasingly ideological agendas passed. So that's interesting going on there in Minnesota. When J.B. Pritzker, took over as the governor of Illinois last year, Democratic lawmakers who had spent 4 years at an impasse with his Republican predecessor vowed that their party's new grip on the state capitol would bring immediate change. The pace has been startling. In recent months, Illinois legislators have moved sharply to the left, deeming abortion a fundamental right for women, no matter what the Supreme Court might decide, raising the minimum wage, taking steps to legalize recreational pots, and introducing a more graduated income tax. Alabama state capitol, dominated by Republicans, has raced in the opposite direction. Alabama lawmakers voted during this term to ban most abortions, eliminated marriage licenses so that probate judge opposed to same-sex marriage would not have to sign the marriage certificates, and they also approved requiring sex offenders who commit crimes involving children to undergo chemical castration at their own expense. So that's gonna be rough, guys. Don't do any sex offending. Don't offend any. Don't be a sex offender. Don't be a sex offender, please. Governor Kay Ivey of Alabama, another fellow Republican, signed the abortion and marriage license bills on Monday in her office and announced that she had signed the castration legislation as well. But as we look around the country, things are a little bit different in Colorado. Where Democrats dominate the Capitol and Republicans were so upset about the stream of new laws being passed, they demanded each bill be read aloud to slow the pace. The Democrats responded by having 5 computers simultaneously read bills. The computer were able to whip through hundreds of pages a minute, and the result was gibberish. The Republicans promptly sued. They won in court, but the Democrats went on at a moderated pace to pass legislation that Republicans opposed, including reducing greenhouse gas emissions, banning gay marriage conversion therapy for minors, and creating a reinsurance program to lower healthcare costs. This year was always supposed to be pretty calamitous in state houses across the nation. Yearly 1,700 lawmakers won in seats in the last fall's election. The vast majority of newcomers were Democrats who won control of 6 new legislative chambers, meaning they now dominate both chambers in 18 states. But the Republicans continue to control the majority of state legislatures with 29. So yeah, that's a big problem. You can't erase all the things that you've lost. You can't release all the calamitous gains that you lost under Obama, under really the past 10 years in the one election. But still, last election was huge on that front, and it's really something that we needed, and probably one of the bigger results that people don't talk about. Sure, we flipped the House, all that stuff, but we gained control of 6 new state legislatures, which was absolutely huge. So yeah, analysts said the issues addressed by state legislatures this year, which included gun control, healthcare, education, and police procedures, might have more immediate lasting effects than anything approved in Washington, D.C., where government is divided. The roots of polarization in state legislatures can be traced to the elections of 2010, where Republicans made decisive gains in state houses and pressed for policies that included restricting labor unions and abortion access while expanding gun rights, according to Sarah F. Anzia, who is a political scientist at the University of California, Berkeley. So yeah, that's going to be something to keep an eye on there. How these states react, how this reacts to how state legislatures react to what they do. They're legalizing weed, whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's all very interesting stuff. And by the way, keep an eye on Elizabeth Warren and her plans. That's definitely something you may want to do some keep a look at. So anyway. As government regulators increase scrutiny of Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google, companies from the multi-billion-dollar software multi-billion-dollar software makers are lining up to complain. Obviously, there's something going on in terms of monopoly. President Trump said about the tech giants on Monday. The companies have fought the idea that they act anti-competitively. Of course. So yeah. Luther Lowe, an official at Yelp, said, "We're in the moment where regulators hang a shingle and say we're open." Luther Lowe says, official at Yelp, the dozens of companies who have been quietly venting in Silicon Valley can begin to form a single file line. So yeah, he's ready for that. That's for sure. Here's some quick hits for you. Got a helicopter crash in New York. Helicopter crashed onto the roof of a 51-story building in Midtown Manhattan, killing the pilot and the only person aboard. Governor Andrew Cuomo said there's no indication of terrorism. Iran's nuclear goals. International inspectors said the country was increasing its production of nuclear fuel, defying restrictions under the deal that President Trump abandoned. Separately, the Times announced the correspondent in Tehran has been barred from working since February by Iranian authorities. That's not great. Images of travelers are stolen. Hackers have stolen tens of thousands of photographs of drivers in the cars and vehicle license plates from the Customs and Border Protection Agency, officials said. The department overseeing the Roman Catholic education rejected the notion that individuals can choose their gender identity and argued that the acceptance of flexible ideas pose a threat to traditional families. So, again, traditional Vatican stuff there. The former Red Sox star David Ortiz was flown to a hospital in Boston after surgery in the Dominican Republic, where he was seriously injured in a shooting. That's rough. And that is, interesting thing going right now on the Arkansas River, where flooding across the Midwest and South this spring has brought many shipping traffic on many rivers to a near standstill as the water is too high and too fast to navigate. The Golden State Warriors avoided elimination by just beating the Toronto Raptors 106-105. Toronto leads the series 3-2, and Game 6 is Thursday. The U.S. begins defending its title today at 3 p.m. Eastern against Thailand on Monday. Canada edged Cameroon 1-0, where Argentina and Japan played to a scoreless draw. So, yeah, that is just about it for us today. And we will see you tomorrow. But, special announcement, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, later this week, at a time to be announced on my Twitter account, at SBW272, Ryan Grimm, Washington, D.C. Bureau Chief of The Intercept, will be joining us. I got to go prepare for his interview because it's coming up pretty soon.